The story, the memorial on the mountain. The wind cut through the mountain pass with a sharpness that seemed alive. Snow swirled in loose, whirling flurries, clinging to the branches of evergreens and filling the crevices of jagged stone. The path ahead was steep, treacherous, and yet, somehow, it called them forward. A father trudged up the narrow trail, shoulders bent beneath the weight of a pack and a grief that had not been named aloud in years. Beside him, a boy no older than 10 followed, small footprints pressed into the snow beside his father's, eyes wide with a mixture of wonder and fear. They carried more than blankets, rations, and tools, they carried sorrow, a silence that had settled heavy in their homes since the day the mother had died. They reached a clearing halfway up the slope. The boy stopped, shivering, and looked back down at the valley far below. Fires still burned in distant homes, smoke curling toward the sky in slow, mournful spirals. The city was dying, its streets empty, its people gone or lost. "Are we doing the right thing?" the boy asked softly, his voice nearly drowned by the wind. The father swallowed hard. He had asked himself that question over and over since the day he had decided to leave the valley and climb this mountain. Strength, vengeance, and control had been tempting when he first thought of rising above the chaos, but none of those things had answered the ache in his chest. "We do what we must," he said finally, "and we trust God with the rest." Psalm 46 verse 1. His voice was low, but it carried. They continued up the path. Stones protruded from the snow, slick with ice. The boy stumbled. His father caught him, holding him close for a moment longer than necessary. Fear whispered in their ears, the kind that tells you to turn back, to strike before being struck, to survive at any cost. But they did not listen. The mountain was not a battlefield. It was a classroom. Every step demanded attention, obedience, care, and love. Hours later, they arrived at a plateau near the summit. The wind had calmed slightly, leaving a quiet in which the world seemed to hold its breath. There, atop the ridge, was the memorial. Not grand, not gilded, not adorned with power, but simple. A circle of stones, stacked carefully. Flowers pressed into the crevices. A small, worn shawl draped over the top stone, fluttering in the wind. This was the mother they had lost. This was the woman they had loved. The father knelt, brushing snow off the stones. He let himself remember fully. He let the tears come freely. "I am sorry I could not protect you," he whispered. "I am sorry I failed to obey when it mattered most. But I trust your ways, God, even when I cannot understand them." Psalm 34 verse 18. The boy knelt beside him, small hands pressing on the stones. "God sees us," he said, echoing words his father had once taught him. "God loves us. We are not alone." They stayed there, kneeling together in the cold, letting the silence carry their grief. Around them, the wind seemed to soften, brushing past like a gentle hand, like the presence of something greater than themselves. Then came the voices, not voices of gods, not thunder or wrath, but whispers that carried familiar temptations. "Strike. Take control. Do not trust. Your grief is weakness." The father closed his eyes and opened the Bible he carried. He read aloud, voice steady. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. Romans 12 verse 21. The whispers fell silent. They could still hear the wind, still feel the chill, but the lies no longer had power. The mountain had taught them that strength is not fists or weapons, but obedience. That legacy is not power or vengeance, but love. That grief is holy when carried in faith. They added one final stone to the memorial, together. A simple gesture, yet it held the weight of all they had suffered. They stood side by side and looked out at the snow-covered valley below. Fires still smoked, streets still lay empty, and yet, the world was not erased. The father took the boy's hand. We leave not as warriors, he said. We leave as humans who trust God with what we cannot hold. And together, they began the descent, their footprints pressed firmly into the snow. Their hearts carried sorrow, but also hope. How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news, who proclaim peace, who bring good tidings, who proclaim salvation. Isaiah 52 verse 7. The mountain had refused to bend to rage or despair. It had taught them something stronger, that love and obedience endure, even when all else seems lost.